and welcome to Whatever the Weather, another Arsenal podcast. Listener, you join us on Sunday, the 29th of September, following Arsenal's 4-2 victory over Leicester City at the Emirates Stadium. I am joined by James,
Hello.
and by Keith,
Hello.
and by Tom.
Hello. It's always nice to enjoy a weekend after an Arsenal win.
Mm.
Absolutely, yes. Left it a bit late there. Obviously following Manchester City dropping points, if you can call it. Well, I suppose you have to call it dropping points when they don't win. Dropping points at Newcastle. I suppose it was imperative that we took full advantage and got a win. And for 60 odd minutes, well, not I say 60 odd minutes, for a half, that was very comfortable. And then things got a bit harem scarum, and then in the last, or in added time, we managed to do what so many others have done to us down the years and come away with a 4-2 victory.
I'll tell you, James, it was terrifying. Terrifying.
Listener Graham was at the game. Graham, how did you make your way to the Emirates Stadium?
You have to stop this. As always, listener, I always take the W7 bus from Muswell Hill to Finsbury Park, and I did a very lovely walk to the Emirates Stadium. And I was very fortunate enough to have James's seat.
Weather was quite good. Were the birds singing?
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was true. Yeah. Wait, paint the picture, James.
Well, I got flashbacks of Fulham last season when we dropped points quite early on. And I thought, well, that's going to be another one of those games that we should win quite comfortably. We end up drawing. And I thought, wow, that's just another 2 points dropped. And even though it's after only 5, 6 games in, we all know what it's like with City. Like coming the end of the season, those 2 points could be the difference between winning the title or not winning the title. So that's why every game feels a little bit edgier than it used to, because those 2 points dropped could be the difference. So 20th minute in, I turned to my wife and I said, wow, that's 2 points dropped. So yeah. And then I got a beep on my phone. It said Trossard scored, and then it's another beep a minute later. Havertz scored, so I was very very happy.
I'd say this, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is there's a massive difference between watching games in the flesh and then watching games on TV. Like there's a lot less jeopardy when you're watching games in the flesh.
Yeah,
Like every time I watch a game on TV, I'm like, "No, this is terrifying." I'm not saying this.
Sorry, Graham, I'm going to have to cut in it. You literally just described it as terrifying.
Well, it is terrifying, but
So you've undermined your whole point. So it was not as terrifying as what you're trying to say.
No, it wasn't as terrifying. But then,
Fine.
Keith and I watch football in a very different way. So
I think most people watch football in a different way to be totally honest. Yeah. Sorry, Keith.
it's all right.
Why?
Yeah. So Graham, from that point, but then were you in no doubt then that the winning goal, the third goal, was on its way?
It felt like it was coming. Like it really did. It really felt like
you
it was
kept the
coming.
faith.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, I always do. But yeah, it felt like it was coming. When it did, it was great. The next goal, pretty
I think there was a
scratchy,
chance.
but
I think we had 16 corners in the game, which is absurdly high anyway. But we had a corner just before the goal that put us into the lead, where Calafiori pulled another great save from the goalkeeper, and I thought that was pretty much it, to be honest. Calafiori, incidentally, do you think he was lucky to stay on the pitch? He was it was on a yellow card and potentially could have been a second yellow.
I
It should
liked
have been.
I liked the way that he just ran away as soon as it was done. Just got back in position. Didn't even make eye contact with the referee. Just got
Very
the hell
Italian.
out of there. That was good.
Was it
I
sensible soccer or one of the old FIFA games you could just run away from the ref to avoid a booking?
Yeah, definitely.
One of the early ones you just keep running away.
Yeah, I think that was in his mind.
Oh my God.
And of course the first goal as well. Was that lucky not to be called a foul against Saliba bringing down Jamie Vardy, and then we go up
No,
the other, straight up
no,
the other end and
No,
no.
come
nice
on.
whistles. No, of course not. Of course not.
No.
We're a pro
Um,
Arsenal podcast. Get with the
And
program.
Vardy goes looking for fouls a lot, and Leicester got their first goal because he went looking for one. He just ran
Mm,
across
Mm.
Saliba and forced a foul that Saliba wasn't even trying to make. So they can complain about the first goal, the first Arsenal goal, but it is how they got theirs.
Yeah.
mm.
Calafiori, I mean, if he got a second yellow, I don't think we would have been able to complain about that, to be honest. But I think the referee was conscious that he didn't send off Skip or and Diddy for second for fouls that were worthy of a second yellow card. I think the referee was like, I didn't book them. I let Calafiori
Are
go.
you are you are you suggesting there was a bit of a common sense approach taken by the referee?
I didn't think that existed anymore, but apparently it
I
does.
was actually about to intervene on that point and ask and just ask Keith what he thought of the refereeing in the match.
Well, from what I saw, it seemed okay. I mean, he didn't send off Calafiori, which got
Mm,
lucky there. Um, he should have booked. I mean, he gave a few silly yellow cards quite quickly in the second half.
Mm.
So it wasn't a bad referee. He he let things go at times, but I think Skip definitely should have got more than it was definitely an orange type of
mm.
card challenge on Martinelli in the first half. Could easily have injured Martinelli there. So I think Calafiori was lucky, but the referee was like, well, I let it go with Skip and let it go with Ndidi. I'll do the same with Calafiori there.
I must say, Keith, I've never heard you ever let off a referee so lightly.
Well, I think
It-
well answered there, Keith. Graham was clearly baiting you there,
You just
into
want consistency though,
into
don't you?
the referee was good because we won. He was
No,
baiting you into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
what I'm saying is like you want consistency. Last week against City, we didn't have any consistency from the referee. This week, there's a little bit of consistency, and people can understand that.
Uh,
So people can see, well, he's let us off there because he let off and Diddy and Skip when they should have got second yellow cards. So fans can understand that.
Balanced
mm,
itself out a bit.
Yeah. I think the
yeah.
Yeah,
referee
I
thought, I can't just send him off if I didn't send and Diddy and Skip off. So I'm gonna be sensible and let this one go.
I'll
It was
say
like
this,
final
like,
warning.
mm. So Bruno Fernandes, the goat mouth motherfucker, who rightly got sent off today for
Hmm.
United. Like I've seen similar tackles against Arsenal players, and the opposing player has not been sent off. Like,
I
you know,
think
again,
I
I'm not
can't
trying to bait Keith into
I can't actually believe I'm saying this, but I actually think it was a little bit harsh on Fernandez today.
Oh, come on.
I know. But I'm just, well, let me finish. I'm just saying it looked a lot worse than it was. He did slip and he sort of glanced. I can see where he was sent off.
Mm,
Letter of the law, he was sent off for justifiably, I suppose. But at the same time, he slipped and just grazed it, just caught the knee a bit.
mm.
It looks
Well,
worse than it
again,
actually
listener, you
is.
are listening to another Arsenal podcast, not Let's All Hate on Man United podcast. Uh,
That's my own podcast I have.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
it by
I'm
myself where
sure.
I spent an hour ranting about how much I hate United from the early 2000s. Listenership of two. So it's my own personal podcast. But I do hate United that much. I think I actually do hate them more than Spurs, which I think a lot of people find weird.
Mm,
But if you went to school in the late 90s, early 2000s in North London, yes, surrounded by lots of goal hunting United fans, you
mm,
didn't know where Manchester was or could spell it.
true that.
And so I'm justifiable in hating them, just the way it is. I don't,
You're right.
I'm not going to apologize for it. It is who I am.
see.
I can
Funnily
get on board
enough,
with that.
I was the voice of balance and antagonism last week, suggesting that I thought Arsenal were more at fault than the referee. But I actually think the referee had a pretty bad game this time. I did not understand all the soft bookings he was dishing out, so like one after the other at the beginning of the second half. Like none of them were yellow cards. I didn't
Mm,
think. Just wasn't really sure what he was doing. And that incident where we thought Skip should have had his second yellow, like he let Arsenal play an advantage, which ended up being the ball getting worked out left to where there was no space, and Arsenal ended up with a throw in.
Mm.
It's like there was no advantage to be taken there. Arsenal could have had a free kick basically on the D right outside the penalty area, and Skip should have had a red. So I thought he got that completely wrong. And I did notice one bit during the game where the entire crowd was howling. I think after it looked like one of the Leicester players was delaying the restart. Not particularly egregiously, but that's definitely what the howling was about. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, well, the commentators made some kind of, slightly offhand remark about it, saying, "Oh well, I think we can guess why the fans are getting up in arms about this."
I
But
mean,
yeah, it
I have
wasn't
to say I was
flagrant.
part of the howling. So
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
yeah.
it
Has to
didn't
be
seem
done.
it didn't seem particularly malevolent or flagrant rule breaking to me, but
Mm.
after what's happened to Arsenal a couple of times recently, you kind of get it, and it
Well,
didn't
this
seem
is
like game to game consistency there, certainly.
mm. This is the thing, though, I guess, about the time wasting thing, is that I get it, and I get that it's used as a tactic, and I get that it riles people up. But at the end of the day, can't they just add the fucking minutes on at the end?
Well, there was 7 minutes of injury time yesterday, weren't there?
Right. So,
We
it's
we scored in like in the ninth of them.
The thing, I think Tom makes a really good point about the refereeing, I'm inclined to agree. I actually think the standard of refereeing is just really poor,
mm,
generally across football at the moment. Anyway, particularly in the Premier League, which for all its riches and how it's lauded, I think the standard in the Premier League versus when you go to watch European competition or international competition is quite stark, the difference. I suppose when a referee is really bad though and makes bad decisions for both teams, it's a bit more palatable than when it feels like it's just going one way. Um, Having said that, that doesn't make two wrongs don't make a right. And yeah, I think the point with the red card on Skip, the referee makes a rod for his own back, which is therefore why he can't send off Calafiori. And
Yeah.
there's no doubt the Calafiori one would have was significantly later in the game. It would have changed the whole pattern. Um, Graham, you've said before the Arsene quote that football's a game of moments, and it most
mm.
certainly is, and it's all reactive. And I think, yeah, not sending off Skip, it has an impact on the flow of the game and the pattern of the game. But
Well,
we can we can all
it's
look
like
back on it
sending
and
off
it's fine.
Trossard or sending off Rice for kicking the ball away, or
Yeah, and I think
for minor infringements like that, which is just fucking
yeah,
stupid.
and
Like,
the point I was
I'm
was
mm,
going to make. Sorry, the point I was going to make. I don't think it's a game where we need to talk too much about the referee. But on your point about the time added on, I think the issue that everyone has, and the thing that I can't understand, is why the referee is still in 2024. The referee is still in charge of the clock. There's a not elite level. They could easily have the fourth official could be or an independent timekeeper,
yep.
and they could have an actual codified ruling of what time is added on for. We spoke last week in the Man City game, and Tom, you pointed out that Arsenal made a double substitution in added time, and we said, well, that must be 30 seconds there added on, but no one really knows, do they? There's not a clear directive, and it's not correctly applied from game to game to game. So I think
Mm.
the timekeeping, it should just be an independent adjudicator, and they should just play to a buzzer. To be honest, it just seems
But
crazy to me.
the thing I was
Sorry.
going to interject, the thing I was going to interject on before was that by that rationale, would you not every single time the ball is out of play,
Well, that
that
is
you
a
stop the
contentious issue,
clock?
isn't it? There's people that believe there should be a live clock,
Like
that
then,
that football should be a
mm,
live 60
mm,
minutes. But I think the way that the
mm.
football as a sport does go out of bounds and the ebb and flow of it, I'm not so in agreement for that.
Oh no,
I don't
I
think
wouldn't
that I
advocate for
don't
that
think
at
there
all. I
should
think it
be,
would be
yeah, I don't think there
awful.
should be a
Like,
live clock.
yeah,
I just think that the fourth official or
mm,
an independent adjudicator should add on for stoppages. So, for example, how long it takes to, if the ball's out of play for a corner or something and it takes significantly long. So, for example, I don't know, if it takes more than 10 seconds to take a corner, that time should be added on. Same with the goal kick. I think there should be you should almost have like a countdown of how long those things should take, and then the rest is added on. Injuries, stoppages, that's that sort of thing. Um, there was interestingly, okay, sorry, deviating, talking about last week again, but it was pointed out in the week that the about goalkeepers taking a long period of time, and there was the assumption was made, or the accusation was made that David Raya took so long taking all set pieces last week or taking all the goal kicks. And obviously the stat came
I
back that
was
actually
gonna
the ball was
say,
in play in
yeah,
that game more than any other Premier League game, and blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth.
yeah.
But the 6 second rule for goalkeepers is still in place. It's just nobody holds anyone to it.
That's ridiculous. The most pointless rule in
So
football.
it's a rule that's there. They used to have back when well, certainly when I first started watching football, they used to have I think it was, I can't remember if it was 5 steps or 4 steps, but a goalkeeper can only take a certain number of steps with the ball in his hand, and that they got rid of that to put the 6 second rule in, and then nobody holds to it. So I think things like that, as I said, an independent timekeeper could add all that on. And yeah, you probably would get instances like we had last season where you get 15 minutes of extra time. But soon enough, you know, fans, TV companies, everybody involved in the game would get fed up with it and it would sort itself out. Um, but yeah, that's my little rant on timekeeping and referee.
I mean, I think us. This is something Arsenal used to their advantage a lot. Like, I'm looking at some Opta stats here that said that in the Man City game, David Raya spent 9 minutes of the game taking goal kicks. He had 12 goal kicks, and on average took 45 seconds taking each. That is a vast amount of time he ate
No.
up. In the Brighton, I think in the Brighton game,
Wow.
exactly the
Yeah.
same thing happened. It was more like 40 seconds. Arsenal take a very long time over set pieces, corners as well. You'll see like Saka will stand there for a while before he takes it. Penalties even as well in shootouts. I remember people commenting on it. That Arsenal, the whistle will blow and the guy will stand there for a good 10 or 15 seconds before actually taking his run up. It works both ways. The
Mm.
narrative of this game from the game
Mm.
that just happened from the Leicester perspective is that they were robbed by two terrible refereeing decisions. From their perspective, Arsenal's first goal never should have happened and Calafiori should have been sent off. And some of the pundits agree with that viewpoint.
Mm.
So I hate to say it, but perhaps these things balance each other out.
Tom being
Yeah,
devil's
no,
advocate again.
I think ultimately,
Go, like,
no, and I think
which
actually
is
the key
good, I
point of
think.
that
But
sentence, and Tom
no.
gets it right at the end, we've all watched football long enough, is that over a period of time,
Mm.
unfortunately, it does tend to balance itself out. I mean, you can argue that 3 points in the earlier half of the season is less significant than in the second half of the season or post Christmas, and you can point to different variables and
Mm.
things like that. But yeah, I mean, with goal kicks, I'm certain. I remember games at the Emirates. I mean, I dread to think how many matches I've seen at the Emirates where the opposition goalkeeper has gone to take a goal kick, put it down on one corner of the 6 yard box, then picked it up, walked slowly across the other side, and then done the same thing to eat up seconds. And it's just players will do it as long as they can get away with it. And I think it's a lot for the referee to manage. So
Mm.
yeah, that's how I'd go with that. But no, look, on Saturday, I mean, I was quite pleased with the team's overall performance. I think we mentioned previously that we thought there'd be a little bit of concern in how the team would adapt without Martin Odegaard, and certainly on the offensive front or chance creation front, we didn't seem to have any problems with that. We were peppering the Leicester goal. Graham, what did you think? Did you think it was a coherent offensive performance, or was there something lacking? Martinelli maybe missed a couple of chances. How did you feel?
It's interesting you mentioned Odegaard, and I know we was talking about Odegaard in terms of like going forward, but I actually think we missed him um just as that guy in the middle, like our captain, just because there were issues there with defensively as well. Obviously, we conceded 2 goals, which we shouldn't have really conceded. And yeah, I think we missed Odegaard a lot just on both
Well,
fronts.
he's the technic.
You know,
He's yeah.
the
He's
guy's in
he's
the
the
middle and
tech.
he
He's
commands the
as
team.
much as
Like
Declan
I'm,
Rice is probably the
I'm.
heartbeat of the team now in terms of being in the middle of the pitch.
Mm,
I suppose Odegaard is the tactical and technical leader, isn't he? Like perhaps like Dennis Bergkamp used to be.
mm.
Maybe I'm being a bit
Oh, absolutely.
over the top
Yeah.
praising Martin Odegaard in
Oh,
that, but
don't
no, but I
oversell it,
mean in
James.
terms of
Like,
just
come on.
someone who can just really dictate play, make those incredible through passes. But also,
Mm.
I suppose Odegaard is a big part of triggering the press, isn't he, for us? Um, and his intricate play.
I think he's also a big part of like how we
Mm.
Well, the
defend,
press, yes.
and I think we miss him on both fronts.
So in light of that,
Um,
how did you
yeah.
think? Obviously, Havertz and Trossard were dovetailing. What did it look like being in the ground?
Well, Trossard had a great game. Like, oh my God, and there was so much love for that guy in the stadium. So much love for Trossard. It was brilliant. Um, yeah, he definitely had a great game. I mean, Kai too. Yeah,
It's not going to be as
it
fluid
was.
as
Yeah.
Odegaard there. We can make it work till he gets back. That's the main thing, isn't
Mm,
it? Getting through the games till he
mm,
gets back, then we can go full power again, offensive wise. But I think for now, we can just get those two working well together. Jesus, if Trossard's injured or Kai's injured, get them playing well, get them scoring a few goals, create a few chances. We can't
mm,
copy what Odegaard gives us, but we've got to make it work. I think the three games last
mm.
week, away games, the team defended. The point was defend. We just don't lose those games. We've got two wins and two draws and a win. And now I think yesterday, Tuesday's game and Southampton a great chance to actually try and score a few more goals, do a bit more attacking.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was. It's funny. Like we're talking about missing Odegaard, and yeah, absolutely. But that Mikel Mourinho, he might be coming. He might be. He might be starting pretty soon. Like I think we forget that we've got some players there who are, you know, who are really good. Um, and we've sort of forgotten about them because they've been injured in like early days, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that guy
I think
play.
when
I
he's
really
fit,
am.
and if he's fit,
Mm,
after a game or two, Partey will be on the bench, Rice will be at the number six, and Marino will be on the as the
mm,
eight. I think
There's
that's
something.
the.
mm.
I think Partey. I don't know. He's not having the best of games. Times I don't think. I think he's just
He's made
yeah
some really errant passes. That was one thing that he did on one thing I noticed about the game yesterday. There was a lot of errant passes, but at the same time, he
yeah.
is a good defensive midfielder. But there are obviously going to be times where you have to ask, like, is this the best way? Is the best thing we can be doing? Is
He's
this the
definitely lost
best
a
way to
yard of
go?
pace. I think.
So, mm, yeah, which is funny though, actually, because when Sterling came on, and it's been quite nice watching Sterling play.
I think it's
Um,
fantastic.
he's actually had some, yeah, really good moments,
When
like
I first
really good to
heard
watch.
Sterling to
And
Arsenal, I was like, "Ooh, that's not good. That's not good." Chelsea reject.
mm,
We've been there before, hasn't worked. But since he's come and joined the club, I've been really impressed by him. I think is he going
mm,
to be a starter for us? No, but he's going to be a fantastic option off the bench. And yesterday, when he came on, he didn't really do too much. I mean, his contribution from the bench got overshadowed by a certain 17-year-old. But I think it's proven to be an excellent signing, especially considering that Chelsea are
mm.
paying most of his wages.
They're paying 200 grand a week for him to play for Arsenal.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And they still got Modric. So, yeah, I'm really happy with that signing. Oh, like I said, when we first got mentioned that we want to sign him, I was like, oh, not that impressed by that.
No,
But
I must
now
say I
I'm
was the
thinking
same. I'm like, no, no,
genius move. Yeah.
I think because
yeah,
of the price,
really
I
good,
think it
actually,
was an absolute no-brainer. Um, but Keith, you mentioned the 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri, and I think he had a bit of a cameo
mate,
yesterday. And Graham, you were at the game on Tuesday as well against
man,
Bolton, and there
that
were
guy,
rave reviews.
that mate, that kid is fucking brilliant. Absolutely fucking brilliant. Like you see a lot of this on sort of Arsenal social media about like, oh, where is our next Saka? Like, I mean, he's not the next Saka because you know, no one is the next Saka. But this guy is, yeah, he's absolutely
I was
brilliant. Like I
he
can't.
reminded me a lot of Jack Wilshere when Jack Wilshere first broke into the
Mm,
team. How he takes the ball in his stride
mm.
and really bursts forward. Hopefully, obviously, has little
Yeah,
bit
he does a
of
lot of that as well.
better
Like,
luck with injuries.
yeah,
But I was struck. It really just did strike me how Arsenal. seem to be so adept at producing left-footed players through the academy. I mean, if you go right back, obviously Liam Brady famously, but Ashley
Mm.
Cole, he who must not be named, um, Jack Wilshere, obviously Bukayo
Ah,
Saka, and now potentially Ethan Ranieri. Yeah, there must be something in the
mm,
water at Hale End, but yeah, no, very encouraged by how he played, and I think you can see. Look, I don't think he's necessarily ready to. Well, is he? Actually, let's put it this way: do you think he becomes now a legitimate option to play or start in this team in Martin Odegaard's absence?
mate, 100%.
I'm not quite there at the start
In whose
yet.
place?
Well, Odegaard's injured.
Sure, but he didn't like who goes out the team then? Like, do you
Well,
change the
I
formation and
guess,
take Party out,
I
Trossard,
guess
Martinelli?
potentially it would probably be Trossard or Havertz, wouldn't it?
At the moment, I would still
Mm,
say he's suited for half hour cameos at the moment. We don't need to rush him too
mm,
much. I mean, last two games I've seen him, it's like that scene in The Matrix when Morpheus and Neo become, and Morpheus goes, "Here's the one." I truly think he's going to be an absolute superstar for us. I think he's got everything. He's got a bit of swagger about him. He's got control. He's got vision. Yesterday, the ball came down in the box and he just trapped it in the box, like with no stress in the world.
mm.
I think he's going to be amazing for us. But I think Pep, obviously, everyone says that Arteta's a Pep copycat. I think he's going to do what Pep did with Foden. Just play him in the
Mm.
odd
Mm.
game, maybe against Southampton Saturday. He might play then, but he's not going to be a starter now. Not for now, but maybe in 6 months, maybe he will be a starter.
I'm not so sure actually. I feel like Mikel might sort of bring him
Well,
into
if
the
he
team
was going to do that,
earlier.
he would have played him
Like
yesterday from the
especially like
start, and he didn't. But yeah, I see your point, but I think he's
no,
going
true.
to
But
bring him
I
in
mean, on
gradually.
that, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz are proven international footballers who haven't exactly been doing badly. It was just
Exactly.
posing a question that, is that a viable
mm,
option? Would Nweri be an option? I'm not.
mm.
I tend to agree with you, Keith. I think he's more someone off the bench. I don't think he's a. I think although age is just a number and all those cliches, I think. Although having said that, Arsenal, we've got history. Jack Wilshere, Des
Again, I
Fabregas,
think that's exactly
Mm.
Nicolas
what I was gonna
Anelka.
say.
These
Like,
were all
I think
players. Bukayo Saka,
Saka,
exactly. These were all players
like,
that
you know. I
the
mean, part of
talent
the
couldn't
reason I
be
mentioned
suppressed, could
Saka
it?
is because he's academy, and as is Nawari. So,
I
With
mean,
all
I'm
those players, it became
yeah,
their
I'm up
talent
for it.
became so undeniable. You just couldn't not play them.
Hmm. But also, I think there's something that I'll say this like that I noticed about when Mikel brings those players on is that they are very much coached into a very specific mold. Like he's told them
oh
to
yeah.
play this way,
Well, I think Arsenal have a very set,
and
clear. I
he
think from going back from Arsene Wenger, they very much is
agenda
the
it
Arsenal
of
way, isn't
course,
it?
but
They want
mm,
to play a certain way, want to be
mm,
very technical players that can adapt of coming in off the sides. We
mm.
saw it with Smith Rowe, didn't we, as well? Um, we've had lots of players of that mold. Even
Oh,
recent,
Emil.
guys like Reece
Mm.
Nelson, Joe Willock, they may not have been good enough to play week in, week out for the Arsenal, but they're Premier League footballers, no
100%.
doubt about it. And I hope Reece Nelson,
Mm.
can carve out a career for himself as well.
Well,
Um,
hopefully he's on loan for us,
Yeah,
so
same.
yeah, hopefully he can come back in the summer and we can then sell him for like 20 million pounds or something like that. But
Oh,
no, but
always thinking of money,
that's what you got
Keith.
to do
Always
with some of these
thinking of
academy players.
money.
Like
Eddie
James says,
Nketiah,
yeah, James said Willick. Like Willick cost when we saw Willick
Iwobi.
No, the
let me
Willick one.
finish.
No, but the Willick one was different, I think.
Willick cost
Like,
so we
yeah,
sold Willick for 25 mil, and Nketiah we sold for 35 mil. We've sold
Iwobi.
Awobi for I think the biggest con of all time. I don't understand how Everton paid us 34 million from at all. Well, exactly.
because they're
But
They
Everton.
bought some. Yeah.
Smith Rowe, 35 million.
yeah, so Man City do it,
Mm.
Chelsea do it. That's what you got to do with these some of these academy players, you've got to sell them on for good money. And we started doing that now, so it's just
Mm,
good. And obviously, on I would say no to any offer for and Wary. There's no money out except for him. I think he's going to be a superstar for
mm,
us. But for now, next few months, bring him on half an hour games, Preston away, maybe the odd cup game. Don't put too much pressure on him too soon because obviously the fans love him already. I mean, he did a tackle on Saturday. He just it was like after he scored the third goal, and it led to the fourth goal in a way. He just ran and did the
mm.
tackle. You could sense the whole crowd just going, getting on the knees and loving it because they're like, and
I
he
think
Oh, mate,
when he came on, he
100%, man.
just
Yeah,
he
yeah.
gave our attack that 5% more potency that we needed at that exact moment.
I think fans just love academy players, don't
Yeah.
they? I mean, I think the biggest thing
Mm,
of the game on Tuesday was the amount of academy players that played. Having seen the highlights, Graham, obviously another game that you were at, but I think Josh Nichols had a little bit of a torrid time at right back. But Miles Lewis Skelly, I thought looked
mm.
very good. Ethan Waneri as well. Maldini, I can't pronounce his surname, but an amazing named player. Said about named Maldini.
That's
Um,
nominative determinism in action right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think those guys, I mentioned before that it was like the early days at the Emirates when Arsenal blooded so many young players. I remember Justin Hoyt and his brother Gavin Hoyt getting such love from the crowd when they came into the team because we didn't have as many homegrown players back then, um, chomping at the bit to get through. So yeah, it gives us options, and I think uh, certainly I hope that there is room for Ethan Waneri and Miles Lewis Skelly this season. I think they'll play a part. Um, I mean, I'm all here for it, but yeah, I think so far so good. Look, we scored 4 goals, had 16 set corners. Created a really high XG. We carved Leicester open. Obviously, it got a bit scary. And if Dan were here, he'd say it was never in doubt.
What
Graham, you've
it
almost
was
alluded that it was never in doubt. I can tell
it
you
was
that from watching on
scary.
TV, it was in doubt. Um,
Well, I know that.
it was
Like I
te-
was
it was
there. It
terrifying.
was in doubt,
Um,
but like it was in doubt and it was terrifying. And I take back everything I said. There is no difference between watching a game on
we
TV
we
or
created a
watching a
lot of
game in the
chances, didn't we?
stadium.
We created a lot of chances,
It's
and that's what you
it's
want to see. I
equally
think
filled with
I think
jeopardy.
after
Like
it's fair to say after the 3 games where we're accused of being good old boring Arsenal, Atalanta, Man City, and Spurs. Although having said that, we did manage to beat Spurs, most importantly, um, and go undefeated in obviously the other 2 games. But I think yeah, the defensive action in those games, it was then obviously always going to be in games when we're expected to win. Could we really pepper the opposition and create chances? And I think so far so good. Obviously PSG
Hmm.
on Tuesday. I'm not sure really what to expect from them.
Ooh.
They're not the team they were 2 or 3 years
I've
ago. But then, yeah,
hmm.
I don't really know much about them
They've
other
gone
than
very youth orientated, haven't they? They've gone for like quite youth,
I
lots of
have to say I
players.
was always when you think of the amount of global footballing superstars that have been born in and around Paris. It's amazing that very few of them ever play for Paris Saint-Germain, considering the amount of resource that club has.
Hmm. I mean, are PSG not just like Man City, aren't they? They're like a kind of global conglomerate, like
The bad guys, Graham.
a very rich man.
Yes, they
Yes,
are the bad
bad
guys.
guys. Very, some very rich person
Yes.
sort of like, vanity project. But yeah,
Well, their main goalkeeper, Gianluigi Donnarumma, is injured. He has been out for a few weeks, which is very good news for us, I think. And
Oh, that's good
their
news.
their recent domestic form is, I mean, they've won 5 of their last 6 games, but they're in League One, and they've really only got competition from Monaco there at the top of the table.
it's called Ligue 1.
Yes.
Ligue 1.
I don't know. I think Arsenal will probably field exactly the same 11, and I'll feel confident with that. What I'd probably like to see is Mikel using the bench a little earlier than he did. I understood that it was essentially when he brought on in January for Partey, it was with 5 minutes left. At that stage, that's Whereas Arsene would throw on all the attackers with 20 minutes left if we weren't winning a game, Mikel's a little more
Yeah.
hesitant to do that kind of thing. I wouldn't. I don't think that's going to be a problem for us. Like, I can see us scoring in the first half and then maybe riding it out 2-0 or something. Because PSG, like you guys said, are not the team they were. Um, the guy who they've got in to replace Mbappe, this guy Barcola, is a handful though. Like, I think if he gets, we don't want to get him have him on the ball too much at all. I think we'll have too much for them. I think we're in good form. I think the team is functioning very well. And the thing that really it's at
And
home.
it's at home.
I think the
So
thing that struck me a lot on Saturday is that we're starting to see new relationships between players who haven't played a lot together. Like, I thought Timber did a fantastic job linking up with Saka, and that's that part of the pitch for so long, because largely because just the consistency of the two players have been Ben White and Saka. But the fact that Timber can come straight in, like, I think he created a crazy number of chances in the game.
7.
Timber, I think, yeah, 7 chances and provided an
I'll
assist.
say, having been there, he was very, very
I
noticeable.
think that's a great
in
point.
his-
I think the basis of this team has been that right-sided pocket that is Ben White, Martin Odegaard, and Bukayo Saka. That is basically we've ridden off that coattails the last 2 years, and to have some flexibility there to give. Obviously, Mikel said that against Man City, Ben White would have only been 40% fit and had to play the whole second half. The fact that we've got Timber who can just plug in and play there has been fantastic. And obviously Calafiori at left back, hopefully it appears that he's got a bit of a knee injury. Hopefully that's not too serious, because I don't know if there's any imminent return date for Tomiyasu or Zinchenko. Keith, you're usually quite close on these things.
Tomiyasu apparently is relatively soonish. That's the word. Marino might be back within a week or two. And Calafiori, apparently is a picture on Twitter of him in a knee sleeve. So that indicates it might not be that bad, touch wood, but who knows? I mean, it could be something bad tomorrow, or it could be fit for Tuesday.
Does that mean we're going to have to break the emergency Ben White glass and get him off the treatment table?
Might have to.
See him out there again.
Or we could play Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back. Well, I don't know.
But didn't he get injured against Bolton?
No, that was Penny just cramp.
Oh, okay.
Penny was just cramp. He was on the bench yesterday, so he's fine apparently.
But yeah, I mean, look,
I'm not going to lie, it was quite cold.
Going back
Bolton,
to the point, I think from what Tom said, I think that the interchangeability, the fullbacks are so important to how we build the play, and the interchangeability of the defence and midfield. That if we have a successful season, I think that is what's going to be. It's going to be built on.
Yeah,
I think we all have reservations that perhaps, or we all have a kind of belief that there's still a little bit of work to do, maybe in the transfer market with the forward line. What that looks like, none of us really know. But I think there might be something going there. Whereas I think we're pretty solid at the back, and then into midfield as well.
And the important thing for me is I want to see I imagine like a team chemistry rating almost as a percentage, and I feel like Mikel nearly always puts out a team that he thinks is as close to 100 as possible. I think in previous seasons, substitutions have had like a cumulatively detrimental effect on the chemistry of the team sometimes. But I'm getting the feeling with the current squad of players that's not really so much the case. It might explain his hesitancy to make changes earlier in games, just because he wants to maintain the structure and the relationships that are on the pitch. But I'm seeing promising things that lead me to believe that, we're getting to a stage more like where Man City are, where the squad's deep enough and, intelligent enough that they can kind of pick up exactly whoever they're replacing left off, or go straight into a new role and everyone can understand and adapt to it.
Tells its own story.